In case you couldn't tell by the vague and artsy title of this video, I'm in a rather melancholic mood today. Preparations for one of my upcoming videos led me back to one of my childhood anime, and getting the chance to revisit these characters and scenarios really put me back to the time when I first watched it. It was shortly after I just started getting into anime. At that point, I had mostly been watching shows like Death Note, Full Metal Alchemist, Fairy Tail, Bacano, mostly high tension action or thrillers that are meant to keep you on the edge of your seat. I didn't really know any other side of anime than those kinds of shows, but I had somehow gotten the recommendation to watch this little high school romance called Clannad. And it was on a day when I was coming home from school feeling rather down and demoralized for some reason I can't recall, that I decided to take them up on that recommendation. And there was something about these mundane, slice-of-lifey interactions in the show, almost unlike anything I'd seen prior, that just put me at ease in a way. And after a few episodes, I felt genuinely uplifted and in a better mood. This video isn't really about Clannad, but more so about that feeling that it gave me, as I believe it might have been the first time I felt really genuinely attached to a series. Not only in a way where I was invested in what was going to happen, but on a deeper level than that. In a way where I knew that turning on an episode of Clannad would feel like returning to a familiar and comfortable place that would put my mind at ease. Because of this, I would go through the show as slowly as I possibly could. I would fight the urge to watch any more episodes just because I wanted it to last just a little bit longer. It isn't often that I find a series like this. I can probably count them all on my fingers, but reliving that feeling has almost become my reason that I keep looking for new stories to lose myself in. There's rarely any way for me to predict in what series I might end up finding this sort of feeling. I suspect it's very dependent on the circumstances in which I watch it. There's not really any logic to it. I'll be watching or reading something like I usually do, and then, before I know it, I find myself deeply attached to something. Sometimes it might be a certain relationship or dynamics between characters, but it can also manifest in a simple atmosphere, one that assures you that everything is going to be alright in the end, as long as this place of safety doesn't change. Those are the kinds of stories that often end up sticking with me, and after 12 episodes, or whatever it is, it ends. And then comes the flip side of that feeling, which is when you are left there wondering, now what? Oftentimes, when I've finished one of these special series, I kind of just sit there for a while, not really knowing what I'll do next. It's over, and I might not feel like starting anything new for days, sometimes even weeks after that. While this feeling isn't always pleasant, it is often at this point that I truly come to understand how attached I have become and how much this story has affected me. There came a point some years ago when I realized that I could most accurately pinpoint any moment in time from the last 10 years or so by what book I was reading back then, what show I was watching, or what game I was playing. And in a way, at the time, it was almost scary, as I had to ask myself, why is it that I can almost remember these fictional stories better than I can remember anything else taking place at the time? Why can I not be as invested in things going on in my own life? I sit here, looking into this perfect little place, wishing for nothing to change while just waiting around for something to happen. What the hell am I even doing? Maybe I was being a bit dramatic at the time, but what can you expect? I was a moody teenager. I don't really think getting attached to stories in this way is a bad thing, and I've come to accept that it's really just a natural part of who I am. But I think the most substantial thing I would always ask myself at these times was, will anything I ever make affect anyone in the same way some of these stories have affected me? Can I ever make something so significant? Now, I'm sorry to say, if you've watched up until this far, that there is no point to this video. There isn't any particular conclusion I'm gonna reach, no aha moment where I suddenly figured everything out, because I haven't. What do you expect? I'm just a moody guy in my early 20s. I never advertise myself as some sort of critic or analyst because I'm stupid, and I don't think that any well-structured analytical piece from me would be anything worth watching or of interest to any people, so the best thing I can do when it comes to more serious topics like this one is to just pour out my emotions and see what comes out. The result might be this being the worst video I'll ever make, with how all over the place it is, but as is the case with any of my videos, if what I say here in any way makes someone's day just a little bit better, if I can make someone smile just a little bit from a joke I made, or if I can be of some comfort to someone having a bad day, then at least I think I'll be on the right track. I don't know if I'm there yet, and I'm painfully aware of how pretentious I sound with me being an anime and manga related YouTuber talking about making people happy, but that's just who I am. And with me being who I am, I'm probably gonna want to smack myself over the head in about a week, calling myself a self-important twat for releasing this, so I'd appreciate it if you'd never mention this video to me ever again after this. Just remember that as long as you guys enjoy listening to me talk about silly and dumb things, I want to keep doing it. And I hope that when I eventually stop making YouTube videos, it will be because I found a way to bring that feeling out to people. That I myself can feel that I've made something significant. Wow, that really was all over the place, huh? I don't even know myself what that video was about. Well, sometimes I want to make videos like this as well, because if I don't talk about my childhood insecurities to a bunch of strangers on the internet every once in a while, I probably couldn't function. So, thank you for hearing me out. We'll be back to our regularly scheduled nonsense in the next video. Also, for once, I actually have something to announce here in the outro. I made a second channel. It's called Emigod Live, and it's gonna be a place where I upload highlight videos and compilations from the live streams that I'll be doing from now on. So, if you missed the first live stream we did about a week ago, you can catch up with this short 15-minute video that I'll leave on screen. I'm quite happy with how it turned out. So, with that, this has been Avantgarde, and I'll see you next time.